Good morning, my friends from the northwest of England. It's Sam back here with another little video. We're going to be making little spiral earrings today. So these ones I've used little tiny garnets. Aren't they pretty? And these ones I've used some beads that I got from the Czech Beads exclusive box, the most recent one. Aren't they pretty? So we're going to be making these little things today. Aren't they cute? So I'm just going to go through a list of materials and we'll get right into it. Just show you these guys here. Aren't they gorgeous? Dangly, beautiful, very, very delicate, and actually really elegant, I think. So I'll just pop these there and pop these ones there, just so you can see what we're going to be making. So let's go through a list of materials. Hope everybody's okay. Life's treating you well. Not too bad over here in the northwest of England. Just making some pretty things, just to keep going in life. You know what it's like at the moment. So we're going to need some 20 gauge 0.8 millimeter wire. Again, this little spool here. What else are we going to need? You're going to need a hammer and a block, just because we're just going to hammer the little spiral discs a little bit. And you're going to need some tools, obviously. So I'm just going to be using very, very basic tools. You know, perfect for the beginner is this, because you don't need an awful lot. Now you can use your round nose, or indeed you can use your 6-step bail making pliers, and you just need some cutters. Put those there. And what else do we need? I'm going to say grab an emery board or a metal file, just to make things nice and neat. You're going to need a couple of ear wires, and of course you're going to need some beads. So you can use whatever you like. I've used 2 millimeter little tiny garnets for these ones. The light's not great in here, but they're super sparkly, really pretty with the copper. Or you can use something slightly bigger, you know, these little rondelles here, which I'll be showing you today. Or indeed you can make paddles, you know, the little sort of paddles to go down. And I'm going to show you the 3 version, but you can actually make 5 as well, so you can have more of a drop or whatever. Okay, so let's get going. I'll clear all this away and we'll make these cute little earrings. So I'll see you in a few. Right, let's get going and make these, shall we? Aren't they pretty? They lend themselves to all sorts of different dangles, super long ones, super short ones, paddles, all sorts of different beads, one bead, I don't know, what do they call them? Pear drop beads, pear-shaped beads, those kind of things, briolets, all sorts. But I'm going to be making these today. Right, so to get going on these, you're going to need to take your ruler and measure out 20 gauge 0.8 millimeter wire. You're going to need about 20 centimeters, which is around about just short of 8 inches, which should be sufficient. If you've been watching me long enough, you know that I like slightly too much wire rather than not enough, just because there's nothing worse than running out of wire if you need it, is there? So about 8 inches, 20 centimeters. Just give it a little bit of a straighten. So I'll just pop these out of the way so that we can see what we're doing. Always good to be able to see what we're doing. Right, so I've flush cut the end. Get rid of the dog hair, sorry, glory hair everywhere. So flush cut the end. So we're going to be wanting to make a spiral. So you can either use your round nose pliers if you want, or you can use the first step on your 6-step bail makers. Mine is 2 millimeter if you wanted to know. So we're going to make this little spiral. So you can make these as large or as small as you like. I think I wound mine round 4 times just because I thought it was a very nice sort of size and shape. Okay, so come in with your mandrel, pop the wire right at the very end like this, and just start to make your spiral. So if you bend it round and make a P shape. Now, in order to make it so that it's not got an angle on it the best you can, I mean, obviously I'm only a beginner really, and I'm not hugely proficient, but I've discovered from other creators that if you snip the end off like this and then pop your your wire back on your mandrel, and then use your wrist to very, very carefully shape your wire around. You can start to get a really nice spiral, but without that angle. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know what I mean if you've been making spirals. So come in with your plier. Can you see? Yeah, so hopefully that works for you. Can't remember where I saw that first, but if I can, then I'll obviously credit the artist who I learned that off, but I can't honestly remember, it was that long ago. But anyway, pop round and round, yeah, just making your spiral like this, and round and round. So what you want to do, obviously, if you're making two, is to do these both at the same time so that they're all, everyone's exactly correct. There we go. So I have made mine 1, 2, 3, 4 with the little loop facing upwards. Let's just double check. So again, if you're making two, you can make it so that they're both exactly the same. Actually, I think I'll go around another one. I think that's probably about right. All right, so, something that looks a little bit like that. They don't have to be exactly like mine, but you'll get the picture. So what I do at this point is I take my block and I just very gently hammer this spiral, just because it kind of sets it into place, if that makes sense. So not too hard, obviously, because you don't want your wire to splay out at all, which that has done slightly, but that's all right. You can bring it back in. So you can see it's just giving it a slight flatten, but it makes it so that the spiral is nice and nice and set, I think is the best word for it. Right, so we have this tail here. Now obviously if you're left-handed, reverse what I'm doing here, but we want to be making these little loops at the bottom now. All right, so I'll go ahead and show you how I've done that. So holding the wire, the piece so that the wire comes down this way. Grab your round nose pliers if you prefer. Now if you want to make the loops a consistent shape, then mark your plier with a Sharpie or something like that, which I think I probably will do. Just hang on a second. Let me just get my Sharpie. We'll hold the wire in the jaws of the round nose. I think that's probably about right there. And I'll just mark. So I've just placed a mark. You see, just a tiny mark. I'll get rid of that, just so that I can place my wire, for the next couple of loops. So take my wire, bend it around the plier, and then underneath the component, like this. Okay, so don't worry about this gap just for now. We want to get our loops made. And it started to rain in my room. Then underneath again. I'll come back to you in a second when it's stopped raining. And we're back, it stopped raining. Thank heavens for that. It just seems to have rained and rained and rained and rained and rained here in the northwest of England. Anyway, so we're back. So that's number 2. So, under and then under. And then the third one, you place your pliers, I don't know, about 2-3 millimeters away from the previous loop. But this one, we're going to go over instead of under, just so it's nice and neat. So can you see here? So we've got this. Now at this stage, you want to just use your fingers and just pull things in a little bit squish things down a little bit if you want to use your pliers just to sort of give things a little bit of a tweak, you know, just to squash things down slightly. And you'll find that these little loops, you want to bring them in slightly, you know, just sort of faff around a little bit with your pliers and just have everything nice and neat. Just use your fingers as well. Yeah, can you see what we've got here? Looks good, doesn't it? All right, so the next thing we want to do is to bring this wire around the top. So using your fingers as tools, which is good. And then just sort of draw this wire slightly over the top, which just brings things into place a little bit. So you see how that's nice and neat? The sun is now shining. It's very, very strange here. 4 seasons in one day here. Let me just close my blinds slightly. Oh, there we go. Very strange weather at this time of year. All right, so there you go. That's what we've got. So the next thing we want to do is to put a little loop at the top. Now don't forget when you're making earrings to make them mirror images. So you just, you know, turn one the other way when you've made them, you know, so they're not, it's up to you. I like to mirror image my things. All right, so I'm going to cut off around about 1 centimetre or just over 1 centimetre from the top here. Just chop that off. You've got a little bit of waste, but you know, you can work it out for yourself. And then I'm going to come in with my first step of my plier and just wind that into a loop. So that's obviously slightly offset. So what we do is we open that up slightly and then just chop a little bit off. And then try again into a loop. Again, just slightly off. So I'm just going to open that up again. And then just a tiny, tiny little bit. There we go. So that's our loop. So my best advice is when you're making these loops, just make this, you know, don't cut your wire off just slightly longer than you think you're going to need, because that you know, you can always take a bit off. It's very, very difficult to add a bit on, isn't it? Yeah. And then come back in with your little block, and again just very lightly tap, but don't tap these 3 little guys here. I'm only giving it the slightest of taps, which work hardens it just very, very, you know, sort of mildly. It just makes things nice and neat. Yeah, so that's your component, and how easy is that? So, like I say, when you're making 2 of these, when you are attaching your ear wires, just turn the other one the other way. If you want, if you don't want to, doesn't matter, you know. And if you want to turn it the other way, that's fine. Let's just attach our ear wire, little ear wire here, and just pop that on so we can see what it looks like. And that's that part of it done. So now the only decision left to make now is what you're going to dangle off here. So like I say, you can make a very, very pretty, delicate little chains here with your tiny little 2mm beads. You can use 3mm beads. Yeah, these tiny little things. You can put them on bars. You can make wire wrap loops. I use 0.4 26 gauge to make these ones. Yeah, but for this next pair, I'm just going to show you what I did, and I'm going to use some of these beautiful little, I think they're just blue agate type beads with like a little facet on them, really pretty. So I'll come back in with my 0.8, and if you want, you can make them all the same length, you can make them different lengths, that kind of thing. I'm just going to use the bit of wire that I had left over from when I cut this part off. I mean, obviously don't waste wire if you don't have to. I'm just going to come in with the very, very tip of my plier and create a tiny loop. If you wanted to make ball pins, you can do. You know, if you're very good with your torch. I'm just making a small head pin. I quite like the way it looks, a little head pin. And you just, oh, I can't use those. Good tip is to make sure good tip is to make sure that the beads actually fit on your wire. If they don't, hey ho. So let's put these back, shall we? And find another bead. Shall I just use the green beads? Yeah, I'll make another pair with the green beads. Yeah, make sure that your beads fit, your wire fits through your beads. Yeah, these do. How fun. So just, I'm going to put on, I don't know, 5 or 6. Let's do, should we do, I don't know. Yeah, let's do 5. We'll replicate this one here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that's 5. And then all you need to do is just bend your wire carefully, not to crack your beads, like this, on an angle. And then I'm just going to snip off about here, about 1 centimetre, just short of 1 centimetre, and come in with my plier and just make a loop like this. And then all you do is, I'll only do the one because you don't need to see me doing this, you know, for all of them. But all you would do is just open that up, pop it on through the little loop, and then close it back up, and then do the same with the other 2 so that you get this affair. Yeah, so have fun with those. I hope you enjoy making them. And like I say, if you give yourself slightly more wire, you can make, you know, these little pretties with 5 or 4 or, you know, 2 if you wanted to, you know, whatever, however many you want. Just the same, the principle is exactly the same. But I just think these are really, really pretty. So have fun making them. Let me know in the comments if you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. It helps me an awful lot. And it means that I can make lots of videos and share them with lots more people. Okay? See you in the next one, guys. Lots of love. Bye.